Hey everybody, welcome to Physics 115. My name is Andrew Vanden Heuvel, and I'm going to be your instructor in this course. I just wanted to take a few minutes and show you around the course, kind of give you a tour of what it looks like, how to get around, and some of the important things you should know about as we're getting started in this online course. So let's start right here on the announcements page. This is the place where I'm going to post probably about once a week, maybe once every other week, just little updates about things you should know about, problems other students may have encountered, what to look ahead to as we enter the next chapter, things like that. So this is where you'll land every time you log in, and you should be sure to read whatever new announcements are posted there. You'll notice that the whole course is laid out on the left-hand side here, and I'm just going to kind of go through the first few pages so you see sort of how this all works. At the top are these sort of things you'll refer to throughout the semester, the announcements, course information, and instructor information. So let's look at the course information real quick. What you'll see first of all is the syllabus. It's a pretty standard syllabus, but it lays out the grading scale and how the points are broken down throughout the course. The textbook, we got to talk about this a minute. I've gone out of my way to make sure that the course works with older editions of the textbook, the 9th or the 10th edition. The goal, of course, is to make the textbook as cheap as possible, but the trick is you really do need a textbook in this course. You can't just skate by watching the lectures, because our lectures are going to be kind of different than you're used to in a traditional class. You're really going to need the textbook. And because I made it so you can use an older edition, you could get it like as cheap as $5 or $10. So you're not going to be out much. Okay, the next thing you'll see there is the equation sheet. So we're going to be learning a lot of physics, using a lot of math as we do that physics, and we're going to be using plenty of equations. Well, all those equations are provided in the front covers of our textbook, but they're also provided here on this equation sheet. So you can download this, keep it accessible throughout the semester, print it off. You can use it on every quiz, test, final exam. In fact, it's the only thing you should be using on tests or the final exam. Those are not open book, they're not open internet. You should only be using your equation sheet for those. The next thing you'll find is our course schedule, and then you'll see kind of how important the textbook is. So the course schedule breaks out our course by week, and you can see that the course is going to follow roughly a chapter a week. On some of these weeks we're going to do a chapter and a test. Depending if you're taking this during like an 8-week semester, we might even do multiple chapters in a week. Okay, but you see it's broken out there by week. And all the assignments are due on Monday at midnight. I'm doing that for a couple of reasons. One is I recognize a lot of you are working, and the weekend may be an ideal time for you to work on our course. And it's Monday instead of Sunday because I want to have a chance for us to interact over email. I try not to work on the weekends. So while I might get your emails over the weekend and be able to respond to them, I want to make sure we have time on Monday to have a back and forth so you're not running stuck when things are due. So they're due on Monday, but I don't want to give you the impression that you can just wait till the weekend or wait until a particular day. You really want to pace yourself. It's one of the greatest challenges in an online class is figuring out how to pace yourself so that you don't fall behind. I mean, I'll tell you, the people who stay on pace in an online class are the people who pass and do well. Really, the only people who fail in the online course are the people who fall behind pace and they just stop turning in assignments. That's essentially all that happens. So you want to give yourself at least a couple few hour chunks, right? So put it on the calendar. Say, okay, I'm going to give myself 2 hours on this day at this time each week. I'm going to give myself another 2 hours on, Saturday at, 11 a.m., whatever. You pick those times, you put them on the calendar so that, and then if you finish early, then you go do whatever you want to do. But every time you set those routines so that you can be working on the class. It's super, super important. Okay, below that you'll see there's the technical support. This is the standard technical support that you'll see in any online Blackboard course. You can get help with logins, Blackboard issues. But really, if you're having problems with the content of the course, that's where you contact me, your online instructor. So let's check out the instructor info, and this is given in the syllabus as well. I have here my email address and my phone number. Email is, I guess, preferred because that's just an easier way for me to type back and forth. You just shoot me an email and I will respond, generally within 24 hours, not counting the weekends, and that should work well. If you need to talk on the phone, by all means, give me a call. I mean, especially I've got a young family, so avoiding bedtime is nice, you know. So sort of if you can call before 6 p.m., that's generally preferred. Otherwise, you know, send me a text message. That's totally cool, and say, hey, can we talk? Or can you give me a call? Or I have a question. Can you just help me with this real quick? I've been able to help students just over text message. That's a totally fine. Just make sure it's clear, like that. You know, that if you just say, hey, can we talk? Mention that you're a student in my class. Otherwise, I might be a little confused. But yeah, by all means, feel free to send me a text. Okay, let's take a look at the course itself. So you've already seen the Getting Started page. That's probably where you found the link to this video. And I have a brief introduction of myself, and I'd like you to introduce yourself in the discussion board for your classmates and for me. You'll notice the discussion link is at the very bottom, right next on the left-hand side, right next to the grades link, where you can keep up with how things have been graded. Okay, so that's the Getting Started page. Let's go look at a typical chapter page. So here's chapter 1, and here's what you'll notice when you're looking at typical chapter. It's always going to start with an activation. And this is something really to just kind of capture our interest, to set the context for what we're learning about. Generally, they're just kind of interesting stories or things related to the topic we're going to learn about. Beneath each activation are the chapter goals. So that's what we're going to hopefully learn about in each chapter. And as you learn those things, you can even check the boxes if you want to. It doesn't do anything, but sometimes it's satisfying to check a box. Below that, you'll see really how the course is laid out, and you'll see how it is centered around the textbook. The textbook is our backbone because each of these sort of bite-sized chunks is a portion of the book. So I've tried to make it bite-sized so that you don't just like binge on the course and try to work through it in, you know, one solid chunk on Sunday night or whenever, but that instead you can work on it for a couple hours, make a little progress, leave, come back a few days later, make a little more progress, right? That's the goal. So what you'll see is that, say for this section, you're asked to read sections 1.1 and 1.2 of the textbook. You watch a brief video that I've created, and then you complete this practice assignment. So instead of standard lectures, right, and if you look ahead, we'll skip ahead here to section 1.3, you're asked to watch this Powers of 10 video that someone else had made, read a section of our book, and then watch a video again someone else has made or that I have made. And these are all brief videos, less than 10 minutes. So we don't have like the hour-long PowerPoint slides. That's not the kind of lecture we have in this class. Instead, we're going to have brief 5-10 minute videos that are either focused on showing you how to do something, like how to use a particular kind of tool or how to make a kind of measurement, or they're focused on solving particularly challenging problems, right? So the videos that I've made are particularly difficult example problems. So you eventually work your way through each chapter of the book. Now what you notice in red, those are the assessments through this chapter. There's a few different kinds. Okay, there's practice assignments. These practice assignments are really there to help you master the content. They are graded, so you need to complete them. They're not practice in the sense of, well, do them if you want. No, they're graded, so you definitely want to complete them. But you get an unlimited number of attempts to complete them. So you can try them again and again until you've earned 100% credit. So there's no reason not to get 5 out of 5 on all of these practice assignments. That said, if you find that you're trying it 3 or 4 times and you're not getting it, that means you really want to go back and review the examples in the book. Maybe you want to send me an email or a message and say, hey, I'm not getting this problem, can you help me? All right, so you don't want to just keep guessing until you get them right, because that means you're ultimately not learning it. Okay, so those are the practice assignments, and those are meant to prepare you really for the assessments at the end of each chapter. So at the bottom, what you will see, we've got the chapter 1 lab and the chapter 1 quiz. So every chapter is going to have a lab. You might be thinking, how am I going to do physics labs from home? Well, I've designed these labs so that they can be done with a minimal amount of equipment. In some cases, you're going to actually like measure real things, make real graphs, you know, plot it out, use your calculator, that kind of stuff. All right. So in order to do that, you only need one piece of equipment. You need a metric ruler. Okay, so that would be a ruler that measures in centimeters. It should be at least about 1 foot long, so 20 centimeters. You can get those just about anywhere, Myers, something like that. But you're going to need that for this course. The other thing you're going to need is access to a digital camera. And that could be on your cell phone or it could be a regular digital camera. But that's one way that we can capture and analyze and measure things around us. Sometimes that's through video. Sometimes it's you're taking a picture of something you did and you're showing me that you did it. In other cases, we're doing like photo analysis where we can actually measure things on the picture. So you're going to need access to a digital camera. So those labs, in some other cases though, we'll do everything on the computer. We'll use a simulation, you'll collect data on the computer and do all your analysis that way. So you don't need any special equipment. You don't need to go anywhere to do these labs in particular. You should be all set. Okay, the last thing you'll notice in each chapter is a chapter quiz. And this can be thought of sort of like the homework, I guess, right? It's like where you're actually turning in and you get one attempt and it's a matter of sort of getting it right or wrong. These questions are based very closely off the practice questions that you've already completed. They may be just one step more challenging. All right, so you'll want to be sure to only take that quiz when you're ready, right? And when you feel confident in being able to solve these problems, because that will go into the gradebook. Okay, now one other thing I want to share with you, and that is after you complete a few of these chapters, so let's take a look. Like here's chapter 3, you'll see it looks very similar, how it's laid out. You'll see tests. So there are 3 tests in our course plus a final exam. Each test covers several chapters and consists of both multiple choice questions and questions where you actually are working out a problem and submitting it. So those tests, I just want to emphasize that you are not allowed to use your book, you're not allowed to use any websites, you're only allowed to use your equation sheet, a calculator, and your brain. All right? Anything else is cheating. And if you were to cheat on a test like that, then you would get a 0 on those questions or on the test as a whole. So there is sort of a sort of honor system to a certain extent, but it's not difficult to tell when people are not being honest. Okay. Then, of course, there's a final exam, which looks a lot like the tests. All right, that's the tour I wanted to give you. I hope that's helpful, and I look forward to getting to know you throughout this term. All right, see you later.